Danganronpa is one of those games that kind of pioneered its own genre of game. Like, you know how Five Nights at Freddy's pioneered the 80s style animatronic survival horror? Well, Danganronpa pioneered the high school murder mystery graphic novel genre. I should probably explain what Danganronpa is for those of you who don't know. Danganronpa is a graphic novel style game where you and 15 other high school students known as ultimates are put into a killing game, with the only way to escape is to kill someone and get away with it during a class trial. You spend some time gathering evidence of the murder, sometimes exposing the murder of the crime, and sometimes just talking and getting to know the ultimates. I think what makes this game so interesting is the ultimates themselves. An ultimate is a person who exceeds in a certain field of work above all others. Some of these are obvious: ultimate writer, ultimate chef, and the ultimate artist. Some of them are pretty specific, like the ultimate swimmer, the ultimate breeder, and the ultimate entomologist. And some of these are just outright crazy, like the ultimate biker gang leader, the ultimate yakuza, and the ultimate aikido master. All of these people are super interesting, but what makes Danganronpa stick out is that whatever ultimate is the murderer, they are publicly executed in a fashion that is themed after their talent. And that's what brings us to the question of the day: what if all Danganronpa 1 characters had executions? This is a concept that the fans of the series love talking about, and I read a lot of them when making this video. I'll leave a few of them in the description so you can go support all the amazing people who have made them. So I wanted to dip my toes in this part of the fandom, so let me explain how this is going to go. Of course, spoilers for the story of Danganronpa ahead, you've been warned. First, I will only go over characters who don't have executions in the actual game, so no executions for Leon, Mondo, Celestia, Makoto, Kyoko, or Junko. Second, I'm also including Mukuro in here because she is part of their class. And third, another reason I looked up fan executions is to make sure that these are original ideas. All detailed sketches are done by me, and I'm not even going to try to replicate the Danganronpa art style, so this is just my way of drawing. We're going to go in alphabetical order, so without further ado, Aoi Asahina, the ultimate swimmer. Aoi is a happy-go-lucky girl who excels in multiple sports but is the best at swimming. She also really likes donuts, and she's probably my favorite female character in the first game, so it feels wrong thinking she could murder someone, but there's no special treatment here. I call her execution out for a swim. Aoi is placed into a large body of water with a shark-shaped Monokuma robot chasing after her. The shark gradually gets faster and closer with Aoi tiring out. The shark finally gets to her and chops her in half, her blood staining the water, proving that her talent can't save her. I like this idea because it's simple, it's deadly, and it's super despairful for her since she worked so hard to get to this point. Plus, the Monokuma shark feels interesting to me. Byakuya Togami, the ultimate affluent progeny. A lot of people, including me, definitely had to look up what the hell an affluent progeny was. Affluent means rich, and progeny means offspring or descendant, so he is literally the ultimate rich kid. I know a lot of people like this guy, but personally I hate him. He's a dick for no reason, he acts like he's smart when he really isn't, and he does not take the situation seriously. So you know I had fun making his execution, that I call How Fortunate. Byakuya is thrown into a bank vault and locked inside. A top hatch opens up and he starts to get showered with large coins with his face on it. With the increasing amount of coins falling on him and the vault gradually getting filled, he is simultaneously hit with the impact of the coins and crushed by the very money he was so proud of, proving that his money and power don't make you invincible. This one feels fitting for him since most of his identity consists of his wealth and power, so being put into a situation where his power won't help him and his money is the literal killing weapon would be very despairful for him. Chihiro Fujisaki, the ultimate programmer. I'm just going to clarify this now. Whenever I refer to Chihiro from now on, I will be using he/him pronouns. I know there's a common debate as to what pronouns we should use when talking about Chihiro, but I'm going to use male pronouns because it doesn't do his character arcs justice, since the only reason he had this female and girly persona and identity is because he was literally bullied into it. Out of respect, I will be using he/him pronouns. Cool? Cool. I like to call this execution not so virtual reality. Chihiro puts on a Monokuma colored VR headset and is forced to play a Doom-like VR game. He easily takes out multiple monsters and bosses with ease, feeling like he is truly strong for once in his life. Once it's game over, the screen switches over to him to show that's not what he looks like on the outside, before the VR headset snaps his neck. This one felt sad to make because Chihiro did not deserve to die, and thinking that he could actually kill someone kills me. But I think this execution is very effective because it does give him this sense of hope right before shutting it down and killing him. A truly sad ending. Hifumi Yamada, the ultimate fanfic creator. So when the game was going through the translation process to English, there was a little trouble translating because of the language gap, so what he really is the ultimate manga artist. He storyboards, writes, draws, and publishes all his comics all by himself. Being a comic artist myself, check out my webtoon Misfit Magic, I have nothing but respect for this guy. But like I said before, there is no special treatment, especially for his execution, page turner. Hifumi is put on the front page of a manga volume. Over time, the pages of the manga flip onto Hifumi. With each page turned, the weight of his shoulders gets too much for him until he eventually gets crushed by the very art he created. His execution was really hard since it's hard to make a manga or fanfic themed way of killing, but with what I have, I'm pretty proud of it. Kiyotaka Ishimaru, the ultimate moral compass. Moral compass essentially means the ultimate leader. Kiyotaka is essentially the biggest class president you'll ever meet. He's given almost this supreme politician image. And with that image, a lot of people like the idea of his execution being a JFK assassination. However, mine's a little different, but still good in my opinion. I call it Ballot Day. Taka is strapped to an election podium, and next to him is a Monokuma that looks very much like his grandfather, a man he hates with a passion for putting his family into financial debt. The debate is about whether or not Taka should be killed or not. Wanting to defend himself, he tries to fight against his grandfather, but each time his grandpa insults him and counteracts his reasons. Taka looks at the polls and his votes drop to 0. Suddenly, the podium opens up to reveal a shotgun, blasting him in the chest. This execution is very fitting in my opinion because he's forced to confront a person he despises and losing to that said person, filling his heart with despair and the fact that his hard work did not pay off. Mukuro Ikusaba, the ultimate soldier. This is a weird one since she was in the game but posed as Junko, so the real one could run things behind the scenes. However, we are going to include her because she is in the same class as everyone else. So this execution is called Die Hard. Mukuro is kidnapped by Monokuma soldiers and taken to an underground bunker where she is tied upside down with a bucket below her. There's a scale under the bucket as well. Mukuro is cut on multiple parts of her body with her blood dripping into the bucket. The scale is rigged to multiple explosives, so once a certain amount of blood is in the bucket, the bombs will go off. Mukuro is simultaneously bled out, waterboarded, and blown up at the same time. A badass end for a badass soldier. This execution was also difficult since there is a lot of common ways soldiers can die in battle, but the combination of those three things feel like a fitting and interesting end. Sakura Ogami, the ultimate martial artist. Her execution requires me to go a little into her story. In summary, she was the only female born into her family, so she had a lot of obstacles becoming the most powerful fighter on her family's dojo. She eventually became strong enough, but she has still yet to beat one person. A street fighter named Kenshiro. He was a strong man who sadly came down with a terminal illness that left him bedridden, to Sakura's dismay. This is why we are including that fact into her execution, the strongest protector. It takes place in a hospital room with Kenshiro asleep in a hospital bed. Sakura protects him from multiple Monokuma assassins with ease. Once all opponents have been destroyed, Sakura looks tiredly at Kenshiro, only to find out that it wasn't really him, but a doll with a bomb in his chest. Sakura is blown up, looking into the eyes of the one person she truly loved. I'm very proud of this idea since it includes another person that the murderer cares about. Sakura is a very powerful character, so it was going to be hard to kill her off, but I think this is an effective strategy. Sayaka Maizano, the ultimate pop sensation. She's a J-pop singer, essentially. For those of you who don't know the story, in the beginning she tries to kill someone else and frame our character for it. So I like to think this is what would happen if she did kill someone, but we were able to call her out for it. She would be publicly executed with what I like to call surround sound. Sayaka is strapped to a chair surrounded by large speakers and a microphone placed in front of her. Her body is slashed and cut multiple times, with each one being deeper than the last. Every time she screams, the mic picks up on it and the speakers amp it up tenfold. Eventually the sound becomes too much and Sayaka's head explodes. This one is probably my favorite. I don't know, it just feels so fitting and creative. The realism is debatable, but honestly, the logic is thrown out the window in these games, so it's fine. Toko Fukawa, the ultimate writer. Toko by herself is a pretty bland character, but what makes her interesting is her weird admiration for Byakuya and her secret about someone else who we will get into later. So that relationship and her ultimate talent are what we'll be combining for this execution. Cliffhanger. Toko is strapped to a book page and a giant pen stabs her in the stomach. As Toko starts to bleed out, the pen uses her own blood to write a confession letter to Byakuya. As Toko takes her last breath before she dies, the pen writes, "To be continued." This one is also a very effective execution because it causes Toko to go back to one of the biggest traumas, which was someone reading her love letter to an entire class and getting bullied because of it. So her being forced to go through that again years later with someone she really liked mixed with her own death is a fitting end. Genocide Jack, or Genocide Jill, the ultimate murderous fiend. This was the person I was talking about before. Genocide Jack is a serial killer who only kills men. And the twist is that it's actually Toko in a split personality situation. This one is going to be quick. It's essentially Genocide Jack being killed with her own pair of scissors and hung to die in the same fashion as all of her victims. Yasuhiro Hagakure, the ultimate clairvoyant. Hiro is a fortune teller that got scouted by Hope's Peak because his visions have a 30% chance of success, which is apparently better than most fortune tellers. And he is very proud of that 30%. So we will be using that in his execution, Wheel of Fortune. Hiro is strapped to a carousel sectioned into 3 parts. On the ends of 2 of them are crystal ball bombs, giving him about a 30% chance of survival. The carousel is spun and magically he survives, proving his 30% success rate. Suddenly, he is spun again only to end up in one of the bomb spots, blowing up right in his face, proving that his visions are not foolproof. This one is really cool to me since we implemented his 30% success rate and we gave him a little sense of hope before spinning again and actually having him executed. And that's all of the executions. I hope you enjoyed it and found my ideas interesting. If you have your own ideas, then leave them in the comments. I love seeing your interactions. If you want me to do the other games, then let me know too. I also want to actually play the games as a playthrough series, so maybe be on the look for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out any of the other videos I've made, I'll leave one in the end card. All my socials and webtoon are in the description. And in the meantime, make sure to relax today.